This is Blank You Should Watch, where I'll tell you what you should watch, why you should watch it, and what it's similar to. Let's go! Anime you should watch. Toradora. What it is. Takasu Ryuji is just your average everyday Japanese high schooler who also just happens to have the eyes of an angry mobster. This trait tends to make everyone around him think he's incredibly mad, when in reality that's just his face. On his first day of his second year of high school, he becomes classmates with Asuka Taiga, the palm-top tiger, the most violent and dangerous girl in school. After school, Ryuji goes to his classroom to pick up his bag, where he finds Taiga. She gets flustered when he picks up his bag, and she tries to stop him and wrestle the bag away. But he fights her off and goes home, finding a love letter from Taiga to his best friend Kitamura, which she had mistakenly put in Ryuji's bag. That night, he awakens to find Taiga in his apartment. He narrowly avoids being hit by her wooden sword and explains that her note was empty. She becomes depressed, and Ryuji attempts to cheer her up by admitting that he also has a crush on a girl, who Taiga quickly discovers as her best friend Minoran. Ryuji and Taiga then make a deal. Ryuji will help Taiga get close to Kitamura, and Taiga will help Ryuji get with Minoran. The rest of the show then becomes their adventures together trying to get with each other's best friend. Why you should watch it. Anime romantic comedies are difficult. Many of them are funny, but they lack substance. They can be romantic, but overdramatic, relying too much on ridiculous stories and copy and paste characters. Toradora is one of the most balanced animes of the genre. The characters all have their own unique backstories and quirks that help them buck the tropes that plague anime. Take Taiga, for instance. She easily falls into the tsundere character role, which is a cold, hostile character that slowly becomes warm and friendly. Probably one of the greatest examples of the trait. But she is given enough time to learn and grow that her development throughout the show feels very genuine. You get enough of her backstory to understand why she would grow into the character we meet at the beginning of the series, and we see enough things happen to her and affect her to make where she is at the end of the series a satisfying conclusion. Now, if you've never heard of a love story before, this may be a bit of a spoiler, but when you get about 2 episodes in, you realize there's another relationship here, and that's the one between Taiga and Ryuji. I mean, the hint for this is given away in the title and the characters' names. Taiga is supposed to sound like their English word for tiger, which in Japanese is Tora, while Ryuji's name means son of the dragon in Japanese, and the first 2 symbols of dragon in katakana makes up the last half of the title, Tora. They are the yin to each other's yang, as dragons and tigers are so frequently portrayed. Taiga looks like a frail, sweet little girl, often compared to a doll, but on the inside she's fierce, short-tempered, and violent. As opposed to Ryuji, a tall guy with a face like a gangster that scares off everyone, but on the inside, he's a smart, polite guy who is obsessed with cleaning and is a great cook. From the point you see the relationship start to go, you begin to see what lays at the end of this path. But as with every good story, it is the adventure to that destination that is what really matters. I'm being perfectly honest when I say this is probably one of my top 5 animes of all time. I have rewatched this anime far more than I have any of my other favorites, and I understand that objectively it isn't one of the greatest animes ever. But everything about this anime, the story, the characters, the relationships, they all hit certain beats just right. Now, the best thing this anime does that I think is really elusive in rom-com anime is that it fucking ends. So many animes of this genre will introduce a plot like this, and it will lead to, he'll probably end up with her, but we won't show that. Or they'll end up without any real conclusion, forcing you to read the manga to find out what happens, and sometimes that doesn't even end conclusively. Or worse, they'll leave you with a fucking harem ending so you get to choose which one he ends up to, because writing is difficult. The best thing Toradora does is end with a clear answer to the future of the relationships we see develop. Some people may argue that's a tad open-ended, but I think it's very clear and conclusive. So if you want a story you know will have an ending, which is kind of an important part, this is definitely an anime for you. Honestly, if the anime had ended a little sooner into the final episode, I would have called it great, but it's pretty goddamn good, so that's not bad. What it's similar to. Ouran High School Host Club is another comparable anime for me. That's about a girl who dresses up like a boy in a host club to pay off her debt breaking a vase. While Ouran doesn't have a firm conclusion, it was funny and different, and if you like rom-coms that don't approach things from a standard perspective like Ouran does, then Toradora is definitely for you. I would say fans of the anime My Little Monster, which is an anime with wonderful comedic moments and an odd romance, would definitely get a kick out of Toradora. If you're a fan of My Little Monster, you will appreciate that Toradora does end conclusively, unlike My Little Monster, where the ending is unclear and you have to read the manga to find out what happens. Now, I'm not saying reading the manga is a bad thing, but it hurts adaptations if that's the end result. Conclusion. In the end, guys, Toradora is a romantic comedy that has all the makings of your standard anime rom-com, but it uses its characters and gives them depth so that they are more than the stereotype you initially think they are. It was a great experience for me to watch, and I think you might like it too, so check it out.
We've been doing this for so long, and yet it's come to this. We feel you've been treating us wrong.